I caught my husband secretly texting her coworker late at night. Hi, I don't even know how to start this, but I feel like my chest is going to explode if I don't get this all out. I, 29F, have been married to my husband, 31M, for almost 3 years, and we've been together a total of 7. We met in college, did the whole young love thing, and honestly, for most of that time, I thought we were that couple. You know, the ones everyone assumes will make it because we seemed so in sync. We bought a house last year, we have 2 dogs, and we were actually talking about trying for a baby later this year. On the surface, things have looked really solid. He has a stable job in tech, I work in marketing, and we've always had this unspoken pact of supporting each other through the stress of adult life. He's always been the more outgoing, flirty personality, while I'm more introverted, and honestly, I used to admire how easily he could make friends with anyone. He has this energy about him. People are just drawn to him. That being said, I'll admit I've always had this tiny voice in the back of my head whispering, "Be careful." Not because he's ever outright cheated before, but because sometimes his friendliness crosses lines. He's the guy who texts female coworkers memes at midnight or who calls another woman dude or bro to downplay things. I used to brush it off because he never gave me concrete proof of anything shady, and I didn't want to be the paranoid, jealous wife. But recently, that voice in my head wasn't just whispering anymore, it was screaming. And now I'm sitting here writing this, feeling like my entire life just shifted overnight. We met when I was 21 and he was 23. I was finishing my degree in communications. He was already working in IT support at the university. I remember the first time I noticed him. He helped me fix my laptop in the library, and he made this dumb joke about turning it on and off again that shouldn't have been funny, but had me laughing like an idiot. That was just his charm. He had this easy confidence, like he could walk into any room and instantly make friends. We started as friends. At that point, I was coming off a bad breakup and didn't want anything serious. But he wore me down with his persistence and humor. He'd bring me coffee to class, leave silly notes in my car, and he made me feel like the most interesting person in the world. It didn't take long before I fell for him. By the time I graduated, we were officially a couple. Our first few years had their ups and downs. He had a flirty personality, always joking with waitresses or texting old female friends late at night. I didn't love it, but every time I brought it up, he'd say, "Babe, I'm just friendly. You know I'd never cheat on you." And I wanted to believe him, so I did. He never gave me evidence otherwise, and he always came home to me. We moved in together after 2 years, got a dog, which turned into 2 because he couldn't leave the sister pup behind, and eventually he proposed. Our wedding was big and beautiful, the kind of thing that made my mom cry and had people saying how perfect we looked together. I stood there promising forever, and I believed every word coming out of his mouth. Fast forward a couple of years, and life started to get real. Mortgages, bills, careers. I work a pretty 9-to-5 job, but his job is more demanding. He's in a department where work emergencies mean staying late or logging on in the middle of the night. I used to be proud of how dedicated he was. Now I realize how convenient it was as an excuse. About a year ago, he got this new coworker. Let's call her Tara, 28F. She joined his team, and suddenly her name was sprinkled into conversation all the time. Tara and I crushed that presentation, or, "Oh, Tara is hilarious. She sent me this meme." It wasn't constant, but enough that I noticed. At first, I brushed it off. I wanted to be the cool wife who doesn't get jealous. He even invited me to a happy hour once, and I met her. She seemed nice enough, bubbly, outgoing, the kind of girl who can light up a room. I told myself I was being silly. But over the months, I started noticing little changes. He started paying more attention to his appearance before work. Cologne when he used to barely remember deodorant, fixing his hair in the mirror, even wearing nicer shirts on casual days. He'd laugh at his phone late at night, and when I asked, he'd just say, "Oh, Tara said another stupid work meme." He wouldn't get it. Always with that little smirk. I told myself not to overthink it. We were happy, right? We had plans for kids. We had vacations booked. We had this life we were building together. But looking back now, I realized I was swallowing my doubts just to keep the peace. I didn't want to be the nagging wife. And then came the night that shattered it all. It happened 2 weeks ago, and I swear it plays in my head like some nightmare I can't wake up from. It was a Tuesday night, nothing special. We'd eaten dinner, watched a couple of episodes of a show, and gone to bed like normal. He fell asleep quickly, like he always does. I, on the other hand, was tossing and turning, feeling restless. Around 2 a.m., I woke up again, thirsty, kind of groggy, and I noticed this faint glow coming down the hall. At first, I thought maybe he'd left the kitchen light on, but when I sat up, I realized it was the bluish glow of a phone screen. I padded quietly down the hall, and sure enough, there he was, sitting on the couch in the living room, phone in hand, head bent over, smiling. Not just a haha funny meme smile. No, this was the kind of soft, stupid grin people wear when they're infatuated. My heart immediately started hammering. I froze in the hallway, watching. He typed something, paused, then grinned again when the reply came through. His whole body language screamed intimacy. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to storm in and start a fight without knowing what I was dealing with. Instead, I walked quietly back to bed, pretending I hadn't noticed. But my mind wouldn't stop racing. A little while later, he came back to bed, slipped under the covers like nothing was wrong, and fell asleep again. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my stomach twisted into knots. At some point, he left his phone on the bathroom counter when he went to shower the next morning. That's when curiosity and dread got the better of me. I picked it up. His lock screen lit up, and thank God for muscle memory because his passcode was still the same. My hands were literally shaking as I opened his messages. And there it was. A chat with Tara, business case. The little briefcase emoji made me sick. He'd actually tried to disguise her as just a work thing. But the texts weren't about work, not even close. Scrolling back through their conversation, my stomach dropped lower and lower. Wish you were here, I can't sleep. Haha, you always make my day better. Don't tell anyone about what we talked about earlier, wink emoji. Sometimes I think about how different life would be if I met you first. I swear my hands went cold. I felt like my blood had turned to ice water. The most recent ones were from just a few hours earlier, right when I caught him smiling on the couch. Him, still thinking about today, lol, you looked so good in that dress. Her, stop your trouble. Him, maybe I like being trouble. I don't even know how long I stood there, just staring. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the phone against the wall, but instead I quietly put it back exactly how he left it, walked into the bedroom, and sat on the edge of the bed, trying not to hyperventilate. It felt like my whole marriage cracked in that moment. 7 years of trust, of building a life, of believing I was enough, all shattered by a handful of messages with stupid emojis. The worst part, he looked so happy talking to her. Happier than he's looked with me in months. That was the moment I realized it wasn't just work memes. It wasn't innocent. Something had crossed a line, and I didn't know if I could ever uncross it. The next morning, I could barely look at him. He came into the kitchen, hair damp from a shower, whistling like it was just another day. My chest was tight. I felt like I was holding a grenade, waiting for it to explode. I didn't even plan the words. They just came out. Who were you texting at 2 a.m. last night? He froze mid-step. That tiny pause told me everything I needed to know. But then, almost instantly, he slipped into his smooth mode. Oh, just Tara. We had to go over some last-minute stuff for a project. My stomach flipped. He was actually going to try that lie on me, so I pushed harder. Project, really? Because the text I saw didn't sound like work. His face dropped. For a split second, the mask slipped, then he snapped back. You went through my phone? His voice was sharp, almost accusing. Yes, because I woke up and found you giggling on the couch like a teenager. What was I supposed to think? That's when the gaslighting started. You're overreacting. It's harmless flirting. It doesn't mean anything. You're being paranoid. She's just a friend. I swear I'd never actually cheat on you. I could feel my hands shaking. I told him I had screenshots. Truthfully, I hadn't taken any yet, but I wanted to see his reaction. His eyes went wide, and that's when he dropped the act. Okay, fine, he said, running his hands through his hair. It got inappropriate. I'll admit that. But it's nothing physical. I've never touched her. I swear on everything. I didn't know whether to feel relief or devastation. Yes, he was admitting it wasn't just a work, but now I had to live with the image of my husband emotionally leaning on another woman at 2 a.m. The next few days were a blur of arguments. I cried until my eyes swelled. He alternated between begging me not to blow up our marriage over some texts and getting angry that I didn't trust him. I confided in my sister, and she was furious. Her exact words were, "Once a cheater, always a cheater. If he's comfortable disrespecting you now, what happens when Tara invites him out for drinks or when there's another woman at work?" When his mom found out, because he called her for advice, she downplayed it. "Honey, men need female friends. Don't be so controlling. If it bothers you, just set some boundaries together." That made me want to scream. Boundaries? He already broke them. Some of our mutual friends split down the middle. A couple said it was probably just a crush and not worth destroying our marriage over. Others looked at me with pity, saying they couldn't believe he'd be so reckless. Meanwhile, I couldn't stop myself from spiraling. I started checking his phone obsessively whenever I got the chance. He changed his passcode. That hurt even more. I found myself scrolling through Tara's Instagram, dissecting every post, wondering if that dress she wore to work was the one he texted her about. We fought almost every night. He promised he'd cut contact outside of work. He promised he'd win my trust back. But his promises felt cheap. Because if he meant them, why did he still laugh when his phone buzzed? Why did I still catch him hiding the screen when I walked by? It wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a war. And I didn't know which one of us was going to wave the white flag first. I feel like I'm living two lives right now. One where I'm still his wife, making coffee in the morning, folding laundry, sitting next to him on the couch, and another where I'm just a stranger living in the same house as the man who broke me. Since the blow-up, he's been trying. I'll give him that, at least on the surface. He keeps saying, "I'll do whatever it takes to fix this." He offered to go to counseling, to show me full transparency. But here's the problem. It doesn't feel real. Because even while he's saying those words, he still keeps his phone locked tighter than Fort Knox. He still turns it face down on the counter. He still texts at odd hours and claims it's work. Every time I hear that notification ping, my stomach lurches. I can't unhear those words he sent her. "Wish you were here." It's burned into my brain. The worst part is, before all this happened, we were actively talking about starting a family. I had my IUD removed a few months ago. We had baby names picked out. We had even toured daycares in our neighborhood. And now all I can think is, what if I had gotten pregnant already? Would I be sitting here feeling trapped, raising a child with someone who secretly tells another woman she makes his day better? I've been swinging back and forth hour to hour between wanting to pack my bags and walk away and wanting to forgive him just so I don't blow up my whole life. Part of me says he didn't technically cheat. He admitted it crossed a line, but he swears it never went physical. Maybe this can be saved. And I cling to that tiny shred of hope because walking away from 7 years of love feels impossible. But the other part of me says, if he did this once, what's stopping him from doing it again? What if he's only sorry because he got caught? What happens when harmless texts turn into drinks after work or a hotel room at a conference? And then there's the humiliation. I feel so stupid. everyone in our circle knows now because families talk and friends gossip. I feel like the wife who got cheated on. And no matter what I decide, stay or leave, I feel like I lose. I don't sleep. I don't eat properly. I'm constantly checking for signs. Is he smiling at his phone again? Did Tara like his new LinkedIn post? Is that late meeting actually a meeting? Or is it her? I love him. God help me, I still love him, but I don't know if love is enough anymore. So here I am typing all of this out because I don't know what else to do. My brain is fried from going in circles, my heart feels like it's been stomped on, and I feel like I'm losing myself. He keeps insisting that he wants to fix things. He swears up and down that it was just texts, that nothing physical ever happened, that he loves me and doesn't want to lose our marriage. And I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him so badly. But every time I close my eyes, I see those words he sent her. Every time he says, "I love you," I wonder if he said the same thing to her when I wasn't around. We were supposed to be trying for a baby. We were supposed to be building a future together. Now I can't even look at him without imagining him sneaking off to message her behind my back. I feel humiliated, betrayed, and so stupid for not seeing the signs sooner. My sister says I should leave before it gets worse. His mom says I'm overreacting. Our friends are split down the middle, and I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, not knowing if I should jump or back away. So, Reddit, I need to ask you, am I crazy for considering divorce over this? Should I give him another chance and try counseling? Or is this just the beginning of a bigger betrayal? Am I wrong for feeling like emotional cheating is just as bad as physical? I love him, but I don't know if love is enough anymore. What would you do if you were me?